All right, guys, we are going to get ready to do our practice painting for our watercolor unit. So what I have out is this brown board is a masonite board, and then we have our watercolor paper. So this is, since we're going to be working on these paintings for a few days, I wanted you guys to have a flat surface you could tape your paper to so it doesn't buckle as much. It's still going to buckle some, again, because I've got the cheaper student grade paper, but that way you have something you can move your artwork to and not have to tape it and untape it every day. So that's what this is for. The first thing you need to do is I have some masking tape, and we're going to tape our paper down. Now this masking tape is not super sticky, so I would think it'd be fine just to apply this directly to your paper. If you've got stickier masking tape, then you need to put like the strip along your shirt or pants or whatever a couple of times to get some lint on it, so that when it's time to peel the tape off, it peels off easily and it doesn't pull and destroy your paper. But this stuff is not really sticky at all, so I'm not going to worry about that, because I feel like if I do that, it won't stick at all. This stuff is so not sticky. But anyways, regular masking tape, which this is, I bought this at Walmart, you would want to kind of take a little bit of the stick out first by, again, putting some lint on it. So what I've done is I've pulled a strip of masking tape that is the length of my side here, and I can see my paper through my masking tape, and I want to try to just get like maybe a 1/4 of an inch spacing along that tape, just to kind of make it, when we peel off this, it will be kind of a nice little white border. So I'm going to tape this down, and again, this is not really super sticky tape, and I want to seal that edges really good, so I'm going to rub my hand along it to kind of warm up that adhesive that's on it to help it seal down really good, okay? So I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. Actually, today, this is just a practice painting. I'm just going to do it on 2 sides, just to conserve some tape, because we still need some tape to do when we do our actual project. So I'm going to do, actually, scratch that. Just go ahead and do all 4 sides. But again, I'm kind of getting about a 1/4 of an inch on all 4 sides. And I'm going to do the same thing down here. You want to make sure your tape like overlaps on the corners. Again, so we have that nice kind of border when we're done. Really making sure that it's going to stick. Okay. So, if you're not using a watercolor canvas, or which they have those at Hobby Lobby, if you're not going to use a watercolor canvas or really good thick paper that won't buckle, or a watercolor pad where the edges are sealed down, then you need to definitely do this to help to prevent it from buckling some. It's, again, this stuff's not super thick, so it's still going to do it a little bit, but this will kind of help it from getting out of control. So that's how we get started with our watercolor, is by taping it down. Again, even if you don't have, even if you do have those other items where you don't have to tape it down, you still might want to. I feel like watercolor paintings always look nice if they have a little bit of a white edge on it. So we are doing this for our practice painting. Again, this is a practice painting. This is not our project. However, I'm going to allow something I don't usually allow. This is the image that we're going to be doing. This is actually something I drew up and just made a bunch of copies of, because when I made it for myself, I was going to practice certain colors before I applied it to my original. And so I made a few copies, and I just decided, you know what, I've got a bunch of those, so we'll just do this. So being that our unit is more about learning watercolor and not about drawing, I'm going to actually allow you to do something I do not really ever condone. There's only a few few circumstances I do allow it. We are going to transfer our image onto our watercolor paper. Instead of trying to freehand it all or grid it or whatever, it was just time consuming and just, we don't have time to kill like that this year. So, what I'm going to show you is how to transfer this. So set this, after you have this kind of taped up, set this aside, and you're going to take your copy and you're going to flip it over to the back, okay? Now this part's going to get a little bit messy. You need a pencil that, ideally if you've got like the shading pencils, maybe a softer lead, it'll go a little bit easier for you, so maybe a B pencil. But we're basically going to just cover the back of our image with graphite, okay? And we want it to go down pretty heavy, because the heavier it goes down, the easier it will transfer for us. All right. Again, this is, you only get permission to do this with like this project and like one that you do in Art 2 is the only time I condone this, because it's just, again, drawing's not the point of this unit. It's learning the techniques. So we're going to save some time, but not by not trying to freehand it. So we're going to really cover this back. Now, I'm not going to do all of that right now in this video, but I'm going to cover a good portion of it so that you can kind of see how this works. So you might want to check, and just like I did, check every once in a while, lift your paper up to the light to see, I don't know if you guys can see through this at all. I don't think you can, but I lifted it up to the light a little bit to see, you know, where do I still need to cover, where have I missed, and all that. I'm going to just do this a little bit longer. Now, if you have tracing paper, graphite paper, I mean, that would save you from having to do this, but I don't, so this is how we're going to do it. Okay, so that's probably good enough to get the point across. But you see how I've got it pretty dark. I don't have a bunch of gaps. I do have gaps, but I've got it well enough dark to where when I transfer this, you're still going to be able to see it pretty well. So, I'm going to get my image placed kind of where I want it on my paper, and then I'm going to also get some Scotch tape to kind of secure it down. Now, you're going to do this after you have the whole back covered with graphite, okay? So, I'm going to kind of tape this down just so it doesn't like move on me, but I still want to be able to lift this up and be able to check and see how things are transferring. So, I have that one piece of tape there, and then what I would do with a ballpoint pen, I think it works best. Plus, with a color, you'll be able to see where you've gone a little bit better. So after I have that down, I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to push decently hard, not super hard, but I'm going to apply quite a bit of pressure, and I'm going to trace my image on top of the picture. Okay, and then because I have the graphite on the back, it's going to transfer, okay, back there. And I don't need it super dark. I just need to be able to see it, and then I can go back and darken my lines later if I so choose, okay? So that is how we're going to transfer our image for our watercolor practice painting. I don't think I have enough graphite over there to transfer there. No, I don't. You can see the impression. You can see how it's working. This will take us only about one class period, I think, to do. And then you can go back and retrace it with a Sharpie or a, don't get up and clean yet. That was just on my phone here. So we're going to trace our image, and then we'll move it. We can retrace it with a Sharpie or an ink pen, or just not even trace it at all. And then we will paint this image in watercolor, okay? So I'll have you practice certain techniques throughout this, and I'll tell you, where to apply some of those techniques. But that's how we're going to get started.